My name's Wendi Cross, and my husband and I and our children have been attending the Call Church for the last year. We're new to Amador County, but we are not new to the family of faith. I was cheering on scholarship with my brother-in-law now. His name's Willie, and his brother Rick had met me and pretty much told Willie, I'm going to marry her. And Willie laughed and said she won't date a football player. We ended up getting married and falling in love. But one of the things that we had always done as a married couple, even when we had little, is we really believed in generosity. We wanted that to be just a core value of who we are. So we actually had supported one of the football players that he played football with. He had a children's home in Ethiopia. John, Rick's friend from football, invited Rick to Ethiopia. He's like, man, you gotta come and see what we're doing and what your money is going toward. And he said, okay, well, if my boss will let me go, I'll go. And he laughed, thinking there's no way his boss would let him go for 2 weeks. And he asked his boss, and his boss said, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You absolutely should go. So he came home from Ethiopia, and he was absolutely 100% different. I mean, we started a small group immediately, and he wanted to talk about mission and what it looked like to make disciples of all nations and why we're to go, and he wanted to sell things. We were selling things. He was giving more towards the children's home, and he had brought home a photo album, and one night we had opened it, and we opened to the picture of Nebiu, and we read his bio, and we began to pray for him. And so I was praying, and I had looked up in a picture frame on my fireplace, and it was a picture of me and my 3 biological sons. And I just had like a vision of Neb in that picture frame. And so I woke up Rick. I'm like, babe, I think we're supposed to adopt Neb. And he said, oh my gosh, your hands are full. I wouldn't have asked you that, but if you're willing, start the paperwork tomorrow. When we brought him home, he spoke no English, and so it was challenging and funny. The first year, we all can look back and joke so much about what that looked like in our home, but it was completely and totally us relying on God for everything, which I think is the best place to be anyway. So after Neb, we now had 5 children. We got a phone call from an estranged cousin of mine, and she had given birth to a baby that was in the NICU, and she asked Rick and I to come and pray for her. And he was attached to just, life machines and morphine drip and breathing stuff and a feeding tube, everything. I mean, he was in a machine. But I took her to the hospital every morning and every night to feed the baby, and so I was on all of his paperwork. And unfortunately, her mental stability she was just not healthy. So the social workers called and basically told us there's no way. Her rights are being terminated and she can't care for this baby. We think the best place for the baby would be with your family. Since you guys have been at the hospital and you're on all this paperwork already, it would be a really easy transition. We laughed because there was nothing easy about bringing home a medically fragile baby with failure to thrive and possible cerebral palsy and a feeding tube. All things that scare me. And we actually sat down with our 5 children and we told them, this is what has happened. The call we got was to take Jason and bring him home into our family. And the children were like, absolutely, we want to bring him home. They were all willing to give up anything and everything, and felt like Jason was supposed to be part of our family. And so we brought Jason home. And by the time Jason was 18 months old, he was fully healed. He was eating food. He didn't have a feeding tube anymore. He was walking. He was talking. He was kicking the soccer ball with the boys. And our lives, returned to, organized chaos with 6 children. So, is an incredible journey. We are so beyond blessed. We look at our big, colorful family and think, if we had have been following our own will, none of this would be. We're so blessed. And it doesn't mean it's picture perfect and all of our kids are perfect and we don't have, hard seasons and trials and tests and failures. We do. But we have so much more to be thankful for, and just so much gratitude. I would love to encourage those who are here watching today that are a part of the Call Church or even watching us online. I would encourage you to be willing to pray God's will for your life. And I know some of you are probably thinking, well, I don't know God's will, and that's okay. I didn't either. And sometimes He doesn't show us because we're not yet ready to know. If you would have told me that I was going to have 6 children and I was going to be a missionary in Africa, I would have laughed really, really hard. You know, when God saves us and when He gives us the power of the Holy Spirit and the faith and the fruits of the Spirit, we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength.